Hello, today we're gonna do a replay analysis on the Anti-mage game. This player is at about 1700 MMR. And so first things, as always, for the item build, I think your starting item build is great. Poor Man Shield is great on Anti-mage, just because you can really get a lot of usage out of mana break early in the game if you have a Poor Man Shield. So I've got really no issues with this whatsoever. Just keep in mind that some games you'll want to start with the Poor Man Shield first, just because this kind of puts you behind in the first wave or so while you're still getting the gold for the Poor Man Shield. But this game it should be fine, because I don't see any heroes here that really have that much harass potential early. So I think your build is great. No issues with that. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. Okay, looks like they're coming for the rune. I like you didn't skill anything yet. Hitting that guy twice, although you would have been nice to burn his mana, it really just wasn't worth the risk, because if you might get ganked later, and you're not going to kill that guy with just these heroes there regardless. Anyways, let's see who's really dumb. Okay, let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more. Blocking creep wave, nice. Okay. So you go to shop, you purchase Quelling Blade. I think that's okay. I think you could have considered purchasing a Poor Man Shield her first, because you're against a dual off lane, so they've got more harass potential on you. But because Night Stalker himself is pretty slow in the beginning, and Magnus hits pretty hard, but it's not a big deal, I think it's okay. I think you could be playing a little bit more aggressive here, because, see, at level 1, these heroes are extremely likely to kill you. Let me see when you got the blink. Here, exactly. Okay, so you got blink. Where was it? So you got blink here, I think? Somewhere around? Okay, you got one issue I have with this is because this lane has very low kill potential. The only way to stop you from walking away is by using the Void of Night Stalker, or if Magnus gets a good skewer on you. But you can already see this Magnus has already used his Empower, so you know he has that level 1. And although it's a little scary trading with a Magnus that has Empower level 1 because he hits ridiculously hard. Like, this guy has 82 base damage with his Empower. But the thing is, because you have mana break, you can really bully these guys in lane. Especially because you started with 2 sets of regen. So that means you have a lot of regeneration. What you could do is you could have gotten mana break and bought a Poor Man Shield to start, and then just start harassing them as hard as you can, while not committing too much yourself. And what that does is, doing that early kind of screws up the equilibrium of your lane a little bit. But the thing is that you're kind of sacrificing lane farm, a little bit of lane farm, to make it so you'll have an easy lane later, because they'll have less mana, and they're going to have to spend more regeneration to heal that up as well. Like, Magnus is really mana dependent to get kills on in the early game, and Night Stalker kind of is as well. Sure, he's got 64 base damage, but he actually has to cast Void if he wants to contribute to killing somebody, which is also very good at nighttime as well. So I think you could have been playing this lane a little bit more aggressively if you had gone mana break at the first level. Like, see, when you're hitting this guy here, it's not worth it, because you don't have mana break yet, because you're not hitting for a whole lot, and you're tanking the creep wave without a Poor Man Shield there as well, which is another issue. Getting the Poor Man Shield immediately allows you to tank the creep wave while you're dealing damage to them, and the Poor Man Shield is going to release the damage you take from creeps by a lot. I would say you're not doing perfect for last hits, but you're doing okay right now. You make sure you're using tangos though, always. Whenever you're at like 70% HP or below, you need to use a tango if you have one available. Just so that way you're always keeping your HP as full as you can. I think you could have performed that a little bit better. Okay. You didn't need to blink this far. Like, the Magnus is already here, and you were here. Because of your blink has a cast time of like a third of a second or whatever, you could have just walked here and it would have been about the same amount of time it took you to blink anyways. And that way, you have the blink for whenever the Magnus tries to run this way. Also, one thing you could be doing is, instead of walking this way, what you need to be doing right now is, in between your attacks, you need to move around the Magnus. So if you take a look at the map, you'll notice that Magnus only has a few routes of escape. He can't go this way because of the tower. He doesn't want to go this way because the Crystal Maiden is here. He doesn't want. He wants to go this way. Going over here is also an option to the east. But the problem is, if he does so, he has to go a long range in order to get to a tower. And by the time he does, your blink might already be up. So if you were on the south side of Magnus here, you could keep attacking him while he ran past you. And maybe even body block him a little bit. You might have gotten the kill. But again, you shouldn't have committed your blink when you were already that close. Yeah, and then you're just not going to catch him. Especially because he has boots already. I think you should have stayed to attack this Night Stalker a bit. Or at least stayed to see if the Crystal Maiden frostbit him. Well, whatever. You got your poor man shield now, so you can tank creeps a bit if you have to. I think you could have gotten that range creep. I think you might be playing a little bit too passive in this lane. I think you should have considered getting a second level in Mana Break, just because the amount it goes up is pretty huge. So it goes from 28 to 40, and that is roughly like a 40% increase, which is pretty strong. Especially because both, like I said, both these heroes are mana dependent. And here's the other thing. If these heroes don't have much mana, if they don't have enough mana, they can't actually cast their spells on you. Which means that spell shield would get less value anyways. Yeah, see exactly, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. You can play pretty strongly against this lane. They have very little kill potential on you if you play smartly. The only thing is, now that it's nighttime, you want to play very carefully, because Night Stalker has a very strong silence at this point. Which is, again, why I was mentioning to play more aggressively earlier. That would allow you to secure a better advantage in the lane, which would let you lane easier later.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Let's fast forward a little bit. Like, you could be hitting this guy right here while the Magnus was over here. You could have hit him once or twice, and a good portion of his mana would be gone.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Let's go ahead and fast forward it a little bit. Just watch these guys and be ready to back Crystal Maiden up if necessary. Yeah, whenever he has the crippling fear on you, you'll miss a lot of hits. It's a 50% chance to miss at night, which is really significant. Which is why as soon as you get hit by that, you want to kind of turn back and run as an anti-mage. I like that you brought yourself more regen. I'm not sure if you bought that Ring of Health at base, or if you bought it in the side shop. But either way, I like that you brought the tangos to your lane. Ferrying more regen if necessary is a great way to make sure your lane doesn't end up going south. Because, like I said earlier, although you can play this lane very aggressively and do well against them, when you're doing that, you have to ferry out more regen to yourself, or at least secure an early Ring of Health. And you did bring out another set of tangos. So that's great. Now it'll really make sure that your lane doesn't end up going poorly with you running out of regen.
Illusion. We'll take that.
And unfortunately, what you saw there is what happens when Night Stalker has an abundance of mana. He just throws both his Void and his Crippling Fear on you, and then all of a sudden he's hitting you for like 80 damage, while you just took a big amount of nuke damage and you're still silenced. So I think if you had played the lane a little more aggressively in the start, he would have been a lower level, or at least not had as much mana. I think you should be backing up your axe here. I know there's farm in the lane, but he's doing a lot of damage to them.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Bounty, which my matriarch will prize.
Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
If Night Stalker ever goes on you in the daytime, you can probably fight him. He doesn't have his huge amount of attack speed from Hunter in the night anymore. And you do a lot of damage to him with your mana break. So I think it's okay to fight him in the day, as long as you're not getting too low. And here's another thing I think he messed up. With Anti-mage, you don't necessarily need to max blink first every single game. The only thing you want to make sure of is that blink is maxed by the time you get your Battle Fury. If it has 3 levels in it, when you have treads and you go to the jungle and you don't have Battle Fury quite yet, that's fine, because you generally won't clear camps faster than 5 seconds anyway. But you just need to make sure you have maxed blink when you get the Battle Fury. So for reasons of this, a lot of players will tend to pick up an extra point in mana break, or sometimes even 3 points, and that would be a really big value against this lane, because like I said, they're extremely reliant on mana. Both of these heroes, they cannot get kills without mana, and they can't defend themselves without mana. Magnus can't skewer without mana, he can't use Empower, and he can't use Shockwave. And Night Stalker can't use any of his either of his spells. And he's actually very dependent on these, especially in the nighttime, because they get that much better at night.
Radiant's bottom tower is
So I think you should have gotten 2 points, at least 2 points in mana break. You could have considered getting even 3, but that's up to you and estimating how fast you'll get your Battle Fury. Right now your farm isn't looking so hot, but it's okay considering you're against a dual lane right now. That's a little aggressive. I think this is okay. I think you reasonably could have gotten about 50 last hits and 1 more kill on the magnets earlier, where you blinked where it was inappropriate. But right now you're doing okay for your skill level. Yeah, there was nothing you could do there at that point. Okay, I like you blinked for that. Oh, that's a good thing to have in lane. Just in case. think you could have been attacking that guy a little bit more aggressively there, and you would have been fine. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit more.
Is under attack.
Okay, you stood your ground there. Oh, that was good. And now are you going back to base? I hope not. You're jungling?
Dire's middle tower
I don't know
is
what
under
you're
attack.
gonna do right now, but I think you should have brought a salve back from base. And then you could use that to heal. And then try to switch to agility while it's healing you. And then once you're healed all the way back up, you can try to switch to strength to get the most out of it. And you see, by going back to base here really wasn't necessary. You could have just brought a salve out and you would have recovered most of your health anyway. Like, right now, you would be at 625 out of 780, which is like almost 80% of your total health. And you wouldn't have had to go back to base. You could have started farming the jungle. Especially because you have the Crystal Maiden's aura, the Arcane aura, which really helps out with your magic regeneration early. Getting that Battle Fury is so important to any mage that I think you should avoid going to base at all costs. Like, bringing out a salve really isn't going to delay your Battle Fury by anything. If at all, it would have just made you farm faster, because you could have recouped that 100 gold easily by taking out a jungle camp in the time you stood at base just sitting here.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I'm not quite sure why you teleported bottom. I guess you wanted to help with the Mirana kill.
Dire's bottom
That
tower
was
is under attack.
weird. I guess you must have clicked on your portrait or something. If you click blink on your hero portrait, you'll actually blink into your current position. So just make sure that doesn't happen.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Okay, now we're going to fast forward a bit, because I'm going to assume you're going to spend a lot of time farming here. Or at least you should. What you really should have done right now was, you should have just started farming your jungle up here. Or you should have started farming your jungle over here. There's no reason to go to the Phoenix's lane right now and take would be his farm. Like, it would be just much more efficient for you to go to your jungle and start farming the creeps. Because as soon as you're an anti-mage, and you have treads, you can start farming jungle camps. Sure, it isn't as good as lane creeps, but it's still doable. Especially if you've already lost your tower.
Is under attack.
I think you should buy your Perseverance here. The Void Stone to make it.
Is under attack.
That way you would get even more mana regeneration. It'll allow you to blink at all times without worrying about running out of mana. But then again, with the Arcane Aura, maybe that's fine. I don't think you should be taking Ancients here. Ancients are not really worth the gold investment early, if it takes all your health to do so. Like, look, you're going back to base for this. With right now, you could have taken both of these camps out, these jungle camps, while still having like half health at worst. Also, stop running back to base. Don't do this during the early game. Whenever it's like before 20 minutes, you should. Whenever you're going back to base, you should always use one of these shrines. Reason because it's extremely unlikely for your enemy to push high ground this early, and the shrines only take 5 minutes to recharge. And also, you have 5 shrines in your base, and these shrines take about 5 seconds, and they will heal most, if not all, of your HP. Especially because you're an anti-mage and you have a low max. Meanwhile, if you run into the base, it takes about 20 seconds to go from 1% HP to 100%. So right now, you're looking at about 15 seconds of just sitting in the base waiting, when you could just spend 5 seconds at the shrine here. Well, like I said, ideally you wouldn't even be in this situation, because you would be farming these jungle camps instead of the Ancients.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
We'll take that.
Okay, farming. Gonna skip ahead a little bit more. I don't think you should have done this. You should have just considered farming this wave real quick. Taking lane creeps is almost always advantageous over a jungle camp. Like, even in the mid game, if the wave of creeps is right here, you might as well take it, because it's like at least 200 gold anyways. And this also shoves the wave into their tower, which forces the enemy to respond or lose the tower. So you could just taken these creeps right here, and then gone over to the jungle camp, and you wouldn't have really missed anything for it. You would have gotten more gold if anything, especially because these camps aren't going to respawn for another minute and a half anyway. And also this enemy tower is very low, so the faster you push it and force the enemy to respond, they may lose a fight because of that, or they may just lose the tower. Like, see, you're already back to the wave when you could have just gotten all those creeps and then blinked over here and took these, or even kept pushing this wave. Whenever you're attacking waves that are being pushed like that, attacked by a lot of creeps, unless you're extremely experienced in attacking them, I would recommend you just wait for the creeps to attack them if it's a range creep. Because like you have 3 range creeps here, and range creeps deal 50% more damage to enemy creeps. So you're just best off waiting for your creeps to get the enemy low, and then hit them once rather than hitting them a bunch of times. Because you missed like 3 last hits there, and that's about 100 gold this early in the game, which added up can make a significant difference if you're missing those consistently. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. Like, see, look how much damage these creeps are doing to you. They're doing almost nothing. And that's a good example of why earlier you should just attack the creeps rather than attempting to do ancients. Oh, you need to be careful here. Okay. Oh, he didn't have chrono. Okay. I would say, if you knew the Void did not have chrono, I would say that was a smart idea. But if you didn't know he had chrono, I would not have done that, because that could have easily gone south very fast for you. But I couldn't know what was in your mind, so like I said, I'll just have to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Going to yank the Alchemist. I don't think your presence was necessary there. You could have been farming this camp and this camp. But it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's not really going to set you behind or anything.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower has fallen.
I like that I noticed that you've been twitching, which is really good on Anti-mage. So, kudos for that. Don't farm these ancients. Yeah, okay. You almost got it right. You really want to, with the Prowlers, a lot of people dislike this ancient, just because it has that super annoying root ability, where it disarms you and does a ton of damage to you. And I think I know what you're trying to do there, but I'll go ahead and explain it in case you didn't. So what you want to do is, as most heroes, especially Anti-mage, you want to lure the creeps away from the spawn, and once they reach the maximum distance, they'll turn around, and at that point you want to start attacking them. Because whenever the creeps are walking back to their camp spawn, they will not attack you ever, and I think they usually don't cast abilities either. So whenever that happens, you can just start wailing on them without worrying about getting rooted. But now that you have Battle for, you can start taking the Ancients. It's just before you get it, it's very, very difficult to do so. Did you get a talent? I think 20 damage is fine.
Radiant's
I think that was
bottom
would be worth it
tower
over
is under
the
attack.
extra level spell shield this early.
Shadow, take
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Your farming patterns look okay. There's nothing really bad here that stands out. Just some things like I mentioned earlier about farming the creep waves before going onto the jungle.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Farming. You should send your Yash out to you right now. Although, if you were worried about losing access to the secret shop, you could purchase an ultimate orb. But, getting Yasha should be enough. Not sure why you're holding on to that band. So, okay, you went and bought the ultimate orb. I think that's okay. I prefer the Yasha myself because it feels like whenever you buy the Yasha, you start farming even faster because of the movement speed and attack increase.
Radiant's
But,
bottom tower
you know,
is
ultimate
under
orb is
attack.
fine too. Especially if you're worried that you might lose access to the secret shop like I mentioned earlier. In case enemies are pushing your towers early. I know you're not going to die here, but be very close. Yeah, you should just leave at this point. Right now, what you probably should do is just go ahead and try and then keep farming. Okay, looks like that's what you're doing. Nice, okay. Or not.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I think you should shrine right now, or at the very least, ferry yourself a salve. Jungling this slow as Anti-mage, I know you didn't die this game, but it could have been very easy for you to die with this low amount of health right now. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit more. Okay, you're going back to base. Remember, whenever your tier 2s are up and you're this far ahead, you can generally shrine at the base without having to worry. And I know it wouldn't seem like it would help that much, but the truth is the Anti-mage is kind of a snowball thing. The faster you get your Battle Fury, the faster you accelerate your farm, and that means that the faster you get your next item, and that means that you'll get your next item even faster. It's kind of like rubber banding yourself to a faster and faster position, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a feedback loop. Where because you have more farm earlier, you're able to give yourself access to even more farm and get even more kills, which should give you even more farm than you had before.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I like your idea there. You were waiting. You saw the Mirana here, so you were waiting for her to come high ground. You just ulted a little bit too early there, but it was a good theory. I think you need to be pushing towers more this game. I see you farming the jungle camps, and although that's good, but as Anti-mage, you need to also be pushing the towers. So if you take a look top, you can see the creep wave's already pushing into your tier 2 tower, which is pretty low and probably going to die from this. Whereas if you already had pushed this wave out, it wouldn't have gotten this far, and your tier 2 probably would have survived. But now it's definitely going to fall,
Tower is under attack.
without anyone even denying it.
Dire's structures are fortified.
This sustains, gold remains.
Okay, now you're gonna push the wave. Nice.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Hopefully you'll bring your mana to you next. You should be bringing your Manta to you right now. Your courier is sitting in base doing nothing, so it definitely should be bringing the Manta immediately. You don't want to delay that Manta because it's a huge power spike for Anti-mage. Okay, there you go. You got it now. Real quick, I'm not a fan of you getting BKB this game, and here's why. So you have Magnus RP, which you can't avoid with magic immunity. You also have Chronosphere, which you also can't avoid with magic immunity. And as for the other ones, you've got Arrow, which you can use magic immunity against. Crippling Fear, which you can use magic immunity against. And finally, you've got the Unstable Concoction, and you can also use magic immunity against that. Problem is that Arrow is not all that reliable for them, so you don't always need to be worried about getting arrowed. Furthermore, if you get caught in a Chronosphere and you get arrowed in the Chrono, you're most likely not going to be able to pop BKB during the Chrono, and not that you necessarily would want to anyways. And Crippling Fear you can dispel through Manta. And finally, for the Unstable Concoction, you can usually blink out away before he throws it. And even if he does throw it, although you cannot disjoint it, you can blink pretty far away, making it so his team can't effectively engage on you once you do get stunned. So I think you should have gone for something else this game. You could have gone for a Basher. That would have definitely helped out a lot against the Faithless Void, because if you get a Bash on the Void and you use Manta, there's a good chance you can just get rid of all of his mana almost immediately with your illusions. Same with almost any of these heroes, honestly. Alchemist might be a bit hard to kill, just because of his Chemical Rage. But the Magnus can't escape without mana, and Mirana, although she has a good escape, she's pretty squishy. So I don't think I would have gotten a BKB this game myself. I just screwed up the fog there.
Magic myself out of that.
Oh, that was unfortunate. Oh, I was gonna get you guys. Oh. Luckily, DP had the heals there. I'm not quite sure why you manted at that point. Usually you want to save your Manta to either dispel something or use Manta right after you blink to engage on somebody. Go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more. Oh, are you buying Nags now? Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I would personally get Nags this game. I don't think it works against Concoction, because you technically don't have the ability to release the Concoction anyway.
Radiant's bottom tower has been denied.
Oh, you have your BKB. I think it's a mistake to go for BKB and Ags, because if you're using BKB, what are they realistically going to use on you that Ags is going to reflect anyway? Answer is nothing. They actually can't use anything against you while you're BKB'd. That's single target. And the only thing that your Ags is actually going to reflect is the Crippling Fear, the Void, maybe the Concoction, I'm not entirely sure. And that's it. Any items that they buy, like, I don't know, like maybe a Hex or something, but they're probably not going to get a Hex this game. I think it was definitely the wrong choice to get a BKB and an Ags. I don't think BKB was a good choice this game, but I think Ags would arguably be even worse. You want to get Ags if they have something like a Bat Rider or whatever, something, or a Beastmaster, just someone that has like an instant initiation that stuns you for a really long time. Alchemist's concoction is not instant, and he also has to kind of channel it for a while as well. You could have gotten like
Radiant's middle tower
Battle Fury,
Radiant's middle
Manta,
tower has fallen.
Basher, and then Butterfly or Abyssal.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Anyways, I think that's enough of that game. Right now, I'm gonna test something real quick to see if I was correct. Anti-mage, demo hero. Okay, I'm gonna test this out real quick because I don't want to say anything that's completely off base.
All magic flies before me.
Okay, let's buy an axe.
I'll pray this scepter not sully my soul.
Prepare
Okay.
for battle.
Great hero. Okay. Oh, I didn't even level the soul shield, my bad. Okay, let's try that again. Refresh, okay. Okay, I guess you do reflect it.
It's not time yet.
Okay, yeah, it looks like you reflect the concoction at the same exact strength that he channeled it for. I think it's okay in that respect. It's probably better than BKB in that case, but I still don't think it was necessary that game. Like I said, concoction takes a long time to charge up, and also the spell's travel time is pretty poor, so you can reasonably expect to dodge it in time. So I think you would have been better that game going more offensive items. You could even, if you were worried about your HP, you could have even gotten that item like a Vanguard first or something. But yeah, to summarize everything, I think you could have played a little bit more aggressive in lane. If you're getting a little bit late with Battle Fury, or you're against heroes in lane that are susceptible to mana burn,
Turn magic
you can get
aside.
more levels in mana break early, because you only need max blink whenever you have Battle Fury. And I think you need to push lanes more, rather than just farming the jungle camps, because like I said, if you push the lane, that'll make the lane eventually go to the tower, and the enemies have to respond to that, either by sending a hero to TP there, or by trying to gank you. And what that can do is force the enemy to lose a fight by having to TP back, or forcing them to lose a tower. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.